Are they prototypes? Are they canceled cars? Are they just regular Cars 2 Porto Corsa checkout lane short cards? No one knows. Well, until today. Because guys, we are going to go over, what exactly are these weird Cars 2 Porto Corsa short cards? They look exactly like just a regular release that we would see as we checked out at Target back in 2011. That's why they're called checkout lane in addition to short cards, because you would see them in the checkout lane. But they are very different, and you will not see, and you would not have seen any of these at the time in the checkout lane. Unless maybe you went all the way over to China and found them at some knockoff discount store, because that is what they are, guys. I'm just going to let the cat out of the bag right away. These are knockoffs. They are, I guess you could call them factory customs, bootlegs, fakes, however you want to describe it. They are not official Mattel releases. But whoever made these, and obviously we don't know who, really did a great job. In fact, some of these I would contend are better than their Cars 2 like regular official Mattel counterparts. Holley Shiftwell being the main one, so we'll get to her. Some of them admittedly are worse, but Holley Shiftwell, I think it's pretty easy to say she's better than the official real deal Holley Shiftwell that Mattel gave us back in 2011. Now, we're going to go through my entire collection of these because I have accumulated a lot of them over the last 12 months. I even got so many that I got a Holley Shiftwell Air here with an unpainted front tire. That means I got a lot of these things to have that happen to me. But yeah, we're going to go through every single one because within these, there are variants. That's crazy, right? There are variants within like the knockoff realm. It's really fascinating, but I initially came to think that these were prototypes just because they were so close to the actual releases but had a few aesthetic and structural differences that made me think, wow, well, if it's this close, it can't be anything but a prototype. And yet, I was completely wrong. So in all those videos, when I included Mater Finn and Filmore in my prototype haul video a couple years ago, I was dead wrong. Because as time went on, more and more of these started to surface. In fact, the craziest stuff happened. I found them on like a weird selling platform. I kind of forgot the name of it at this point, but I got a few of them for expensive prices because at the time, again, I still thought they were prototypes or canceled cars. Then some popped up on eBay from the UK, and now like it's weird. Like, why are all these supposedly super old prototypes surfacing now? Like, it just doesn't really make sense. All of these supposedly would have been from 2011, 13 years ago, right? Now let me show you a couple pictures here from Chinese selling platforms Taobao and Idle Fish, because that is where these things live. If you ask someone in China what these are, they would never have told you a canceled car. They would know right away they're knockoffs. Maybe they wouldn't love to admit that to you, but they would know, because you go on what basically is their eBay, Idle Fish, or Taobao, and bam, you can find these in mass. Now, they are dwindling a little bit in quantity over the last few months, especially the more obscure ones like Professor Z, Rod Redline, Jeff Gorvette, and Holley, and Francesco, but all the other ones have still remained in pretty high quantities and have leaked to different places in the world, whether it be the UK, whether it be Mexico, whether it be the US, whether it be Canada, because they all have found their way to all those places. In fact, one of these variants, I noticed on an Instagram account, The World of Cars. Andrew, he runs The World of Cars Instagram account, and he posted a Filmore that had a weird 95 logo. So not the same as this one, but it had these two logos here. And these two logos are very important for the storyline, the narrative that we're going to tell here. Now, that Filmore had those two logos, and I thought that must be like a prototype or canceled car. And he was adamant that it was not. It was adamant that he believed it was just a factory custom, bootlegged knockoff. And it's always strange for someone to admit that something that other people think is a prototype, it's actually just a knockoff, because obviously having a prototype is a lot more valuable than to have a knockoff. But he always believed it was a knockoff, and I almost, like, for the longest time, just did not believe what he was telling straight to my face. But now he is 100% validated. So let's get into it. Enough talking. I know I've talked a lot, and we're going to start with Mater here, because he might be the most interesting story, because like I said, there are variants within these knockoffs, and this is one of them here. As you can see, this Mater is just your race team Mater. A race team Mater that looks oddly familiar, because it looks similar to me, at least to me, to the Precision Series Mater that, if this was a 2011 prototype, would have predated the Precision Series by 4 to 5 years. Now you might be thinking, well, why does it look so similar to you, Mr. Dockett? And it's all in that top eyebrow. The way that's positioned, the way that's colored, it just looks substantially different from the actual race team Mater that came out in 2011, which is this one right here. And I have this one loose. I opened it up. The package was already kind of falling apart, and you could see how the decals are kind of flaking off, and the coloring is super weird, especially down the center right there. It almost looks like a prototype, but hey, we're getting off that subject. But the Precision Series Mater model is a little wider than the regular Mater model, and I have the Precision Series Mater right here. And it's slight differences, you know, the teeth, not great. There are a lot of differences still, but it feels more like a Precision Series Mater than it does a race team Mater from 2011. And so it makes a little sense that the factory customizers, the fakers, whoever you want to call them, kind of based their version of Mater on the Precision Series version of it, rather than basing it on this. Just the shape of Mater's front here is way more connectable to this. Like, you could draw a lot of connections between these two, in my opinion. That being said, though, like we were kind of alluding to, it's a variant, right? This version that is in this packaging here does not have these extra weird decals on the back here. So you have basically McQueen's American World Grand Prix logo, and then just a completely random out of left field lightning bolt that has really no correlation to anything. I guess it's kind of like Lightning McQueen's bolt, but abstractified. I don't know. It's random as hell. Now, I said this logo is important for the storyline because there's the Filmore with it that we talked about, and there are a lot of prototype stock images of the race team members with those logos. There's a Sarge, there's even a Luigi and Guido. Crazy stuff, right? It's like in Cars 2's concept art, that is what they thought the race team members would look like, and then they simplify them to just including the 95 flame logo there, which I would love to focus on. So it's interesting to track the timeline here, because these also have the painted wheels and probably are a little bit better quality than this, where all of the decals are kind of flaking off the bumper there. But it's still really cool. Like, it's super interesting to have something like this. Yeah, the back, you could see the decals not perfect there, and the towing cables are super bendy and kind of squishable. Take a look at the base here. I'm sure everyone's kind of curious about that. So you can see Disney Pixar made in China, but no mention of Mattel, and also no date stamp. You also see these girth tires here in the back, which, again, what does that remind you of? I don't know. It just reminds me a little bit more of the Precision Series, where they have a larger rear tire. But hey, it is a little subjective. I also really do like the side view mirrors here. They look a little bit more accurate to the movie because they're thinner. So some things that the knockoff actually did pretty well. Now, I do want to go through all the Maters I have here so we can actually note and kind of understand the pattern here of which one is which variant, right? So this one you could see also with these name tags, the text is not left-centered. It's always kind of like offset here. Usually it should be coming off of the left side. So that's interesting. Also here on the back, you have the other cars in this assortment, except Carlo Veloso, who, well, they think Nigel Gearsley is Carlo Veloso, but we all know that's not the case. Everything else is accurate though. They're missing Filmore, and also there's no legal jargon here in the yellow space, which there should be. As you can see, they remove all mention of Mattel. Just copyright Disney and Pixar. So it's very interesting how they use exactly Mattel's design, shape of the card, 155 scale diecast, but they remove every mention to Mattel. It's pretty crazy. So here we have another one that is identical to that. Nothing to note there. But here is the one. Here's one in the package that has those extra decals there in the back. So you can see there are a few differences in the name tag. The Mater text is larger. The name tag in general is just shaped a little differently and colored a little differently. I would also reckon that the quality of Mater's art and just the Porto Corsa art in general is less good. It's worse. How about that, Mr. Dockett? Let's talk English here. Then this one. You could see that Mater just looks a little bit better. It looks a little more crispy. This literally looks a little more pixelated, a little blurrier. Now on the back here, you still have the same thing. Whoa. I messed it up. Yeah, so the worst card art is on the Mater without the logos. The one with the better art has the logos. And then, yeah, on the back here, oops, we accidentally kind of left like every mention of Mattel along with the legal jargon. Service.mattel.com, mattelshop.com, copyright 2010 Mattel, and that was all removed for this variant of the Mater. But you still do have the exact same characters. But again, you could just kind of see how they changed the font. Couple of spots. Everything is just slightly altered. This is how you know you have a fake, when everything is just like, it's like you're in an alternate reality where almost everything's the same, but quite a few things are different and are raising some red flags to you. So here we have another Mater. This one has the unpainted tires, so even though the name tag is blocking those extra logos, we know what one it is. Here we go with a Mater without the extra decals. So we know that this one won't have the legal jargon. So we know two variants of Mater. That's where we stand right now. And we're just kind of going back and forth between them. It doesn't seem like there's really more of one than the other. I've seen a fair mix of both. So we're going to move on from Mater now and kind of hit up on some of the more obscure characters that I feel like a lot of people are interested in. Professor Z is definitely the most obscure of the bunch and really probably the least produced of all of them. He's the rarest one and probably the least different. The eyes are super weird. It's basically like whitewashed there on the windshield. He has no eyelids or anything, no eyebrows or whatsoever, and the wheels are also completely painted over. You don't see the axle in the center there, but everything else is pretty similar. Like this is another one where I'd say they did a pretty good job. I mean, the eyes, they definitely messed up, but I won't be opening one of these. I think I only have two of these. But yeah, you can see the artwork, not super great quality. So this would kind of fall in line with the first version of Mater, this guy. Also, because the card backs match. Interesting, right? Interesting. All right. I think I have one more Professor Z I can show you guys, just to make sure that there isn't a variant within Professor Z. And yes, or maybe so. Yeah, no, it just looks like this one needs to be pushed down a little bit. Or maybe, I don't know, man. That blister shape looks different. Well, the name tag is different for sure. The Professor Z text is moved up. That's crazy. It's crazy how much variance there are in these little short cards. Now let's hop on over to Francesco Bernoulli. Now this is one of the ones I'd say that is worse than the official release. For whatever reason, the knockoff creators don't love putting text on tires. We'll notice that with McQueen as well. But yeah, the Pasta Potenza Rotelli tires text is not present on this Francesco. And overall, he looks a little squunched. Like the helmet, the head is like pressed down into the body a little bit more. Like that's probably the best way I could describe it. He has a white base versus the black base. Now granted, there is a white base version of Francesco that was very early on in his production run, but overall, yeah, the decals are all still there. They just don't look as good. You have the FR the all in all, the number 1 with the Italian flag, the Francesco signature with the Italian flag, the number 1 on the hood there with the Italian flag, similar expression, and on the back here, the World Grand Prix underneath the wing on the underside of it. So yeah, not a whole lot going on different with Francesco. You could tell that the style of the art is pretty blurry, just like we were talking about with most of these other guys. Now the Mater that has the extra decals has the best and like clearest art of all these so far. So I just wanted to continue that distinction as we go on here. And on the back, they did remove all of the legal jargon and references to Mattel. I do not believe... Oh my god, I was literally just about to say I do not believe there's a variant within Francesco, but I was immediately proven wrong yet again here. So here is a Francesco variant, at least carded, and actually, oh my god, it's a variant in more than just the card. Can you guys tell? So the name tag's a little different. The text is larger and it's lower. But on the diecast itself, take a look. There is a black outline around the number. Actually, like look at it from that angle. You could see more of an outline around the number 1 circle there than you can on this one. Like this one, it blends a lot more into the red. And this, there's just more of an outline on it. So that's very strange. Like at first glance, you think like, yeah, it's pretty much the exact same. But after a couple more peeks, you'll realize, oh, well, look, underneath the wing on the underside there, you're missing a couple of the Italian flag decals. It just says World Grand Prix. So things are a little different. I can't believe that. Yet again, I'm immediately proven wrong. There is a variant Francesco. And I'm glad that I have both of them to show to you guys. The artwork actually does appear to be a little clearer on this one as well, even though it's lower. Like the blister is a little higher up, and you can see that they're using like staples to keep the blister onto the card. Another very like just wonky indication that these are knockoffs. So I have one more Francesco back there, so it'll be interesting to see which kind that is. It looks like the first kind more so, yeah, without the text on the back, without all that legal jargon. This one, it just seems a little sloppier because they still are referencing Mattel, which definitely should not have been the intention. Like, that's what gets you in trouble, is referencing Mattel. I mean, referencing Disney and Pixar and taking almost everything that you don't own is worse as it is, but when you actually put Mattel and make it seem like you're trying to copy their product, like in the most blatant way possible, that's what like gets you into more trouble. But let's move on to Lightning McQueen. I don't have too many of Lightning McQueen either. I am looking around for my other ones. I might only have one McQueen, which would be crazy. I think I only have one Lightning McQueen. I actually just found another Professor Z though. So we'll review that real quick. I think all three of my Professor Z's though had the same card. Yep, they all do not have text on the back. The name tags are a little different between the three of them, but I would not consider there to be a variant between any of these car-wise or in any substantial way. The name tag, it's a little hard. I think like the printing press that they have going on there just might be a little inconsistent. But yeah, let's take a look at this McQueen here. I have seen other ones online. I don't think it's like crazy rare or anything, but this is the only one that I have. They got the name correctly spelled, but yeah, just completely off-centered there. And yeah, no text on the tires like I talked about, but a pretty interesting looking expression. And the model is completely different. Like the shape of this McQueen is quite a bit different from what we actually ended up getting. And yeah, the expression is slightly altered as well. It's pretty cool. It feels very light, but all these are die-cast metal. We still have to keep that in mind with plastic bases. And all the decals are still there. World Grand Prix all in all 95. Everything is slightly different. Like you look at the back here, the way that the flames are colored. Just a little wonky here. You got the red rims, which is kind of cool looking, but obviously not accurate. World Grand Prix all in all, powered by all in all. McQueen does look pretty good, pretty clear there in terms of the artwork. And it seems like the artwork tends to be clear when the back of the package has all of this legal jargon. That includes Mattel's references. So interesting. Interesting indeed. That's one of the curious ones I would like to open up, but obviously I only have Mater, and I do have one more opened up, and we will get to that. But I want to talk about Holley Shiftwell next, one of the more interesting ones because of how the model is structurally different here, mainly dealing with the mouth here. You can see that her kind of lips, this is weird to say, but her mouth and lips pucker out a little bit more compared to the actual version of Holley that we got. Now, in terms of color, it's not really that much more accurate. Both of these shades of purple are not really what she looks like in the movie or anything like that, but the wheels are different there. You can see that they are a little less detailed, a little bit more just glazed over in the silver. They don't have the dots. They don't have the depth. Still looks good, though. You have the H logo there for Holley, the HS logo, I should say. And the eyes are slightly different. You don't have the black outline around the windshield. And yeah, you have the white line there for the teeth. And the lips just kind of pucker out a little bit more, like it's a longer model because of that. And yeah, I would love to open one of these up eventually. But also you can see that this Holley, the knockoff, does not have a license plate or any of the decals on the back like the HS and the 10-liter 10L text. Now maybe as we go through my Holley Shiftwells here, we'll realize that there is a variant. I already showed you the one without the colored front wheel, but I would not say that's a variant. I would just consider that an error. Let's take a look. So this one has all the legal jargon on the back here. So we need to find out if any of my Holley Shiftwells do not have the legal jargon on the back. So here's the Air. All the text there on the back still. Here's one where the name tag is super wonky. Text on the back. Whoa, there it is. See, there you go. There is one without any of the text on the back. So already we have a variant here, at least in terms of the card. So now we have to find out if there is actually a difference in the die cast, and I'm kind of leaning toward, yeah, there is. So the one without the text on the back of the card does have the license plate, and so it does not have the decals still on the back. So no HS, no 10L, but the license plate is there. The rims are pretty similar. Side view mirrors look to be a little higher. Both of the models do look a little more puckered out like we were talking about. I really need to open up one of these. I think I will open up one of these here just because. Okay, so here's another one with the text on the back. But yeah, just because I really want to see what she looks like out of the package. However, I don't know. I feel like this one is the one that is more different structurally. Like, see, guys, this is just a self-exploration. We are doing this together here. And I love it. Like, I am so here for it. This one's on, like, pretty poor card. Why don't we just open it? So this one doesn't have... Okay, so, all right, we need to figure this out here. Got 5 Holley Shiftwells, and 4 of 5 have the text on the back. This one doesn't have the text on the back. So we need to open up one that doesn't have... Or that does have the text on the back, just out of respect. Let's just open up this one, guys. We're just going to do it. Who cares, right? Who cares? These are knockoffs anyways. And out of all these, I would really like to have a Holley Shiftwell opened up. I can't believe I'm doing this. But hey, they're not prototypes. They are just factory custom fakes, essentially. Wow, that looks wild. So you can now kind of see what I'm talking about. See how the lips pucker out a little bit more? Bam. I feel like that's the just best way to describe it. I could tell that these wheels do not spin well at all. But yeah, it's an interesting model for Holley. Take a look at the base here. Disney Pixar made in China. Very cool. This one does not have the license plate. It has a spot for it, but No license plate. You do have that decal there, the trunk emblem. So let me know. Obviously, again, like I said, not super accurate, but didn't have a mouth plate or anything. Yeah, these knockoffs were not big on mouth plates or the bumper plates, which is honestly a really nice feature to it because I hate that this back portion is plastic and there's that big crack right there. I hate that. So that's a plus for the knockoff. Like, these are some of the best knockoffs you will ever see, especially just in terms of emulating what Mattel has. They did a really good job. So there you go. I opened up a Holley. I can't believe I did that, guys. But hey, you guys caught me in the spur of the moment here and got me to do some reckless things. I'm just trying to get the... There we go. So we can see the damage there that's done in the background. All right, moving along here. Let's do Finn McMissile. There is not a whole lot to say about Finn here. Again, they did not opt for the mouth plate like Mattel initially did when they started making Finn here. As you can see, you had the mouth plate, you had the eye plate as well, and you had even a little bit of a bumper plate there. As you can see, the factory customizers were like, nah, we don't do any of that. Let's just rip it all in one piece, and it actually looks really good. You can see with the wheels, quite a bit different there, though. Expression is pretty much the same. You do have the license plate and the trunk emblem and the taillights. Now let's take a look here on the back. So there is no legal information, just pretty empty there on the back. I do have quite a few of the Finn McMissiles, I believe. This is one of the more common ones that I have accumulated a few of over the years, or really just the last years when I started getting these. So here are my other two. I'm pretty sure. Okay. So yeah, again, we have variants. So 2 without and 1 with all the text. So we need to find out what the differences are between these two. It looks like the bottom one's a little bit more of a vibrant blue. It's almost like it's 2 separate kinds of knockoffs, right? That's just the crazy part to me, even though they are so similar in every other way. Name tag text is a little bolder. The artwork, the clarity's off. And same thing here on the back that we've been talking about. So very interesting, guys. Very, very interesting. I think I just have 3 fins. You know what? I totally thought I had more than just 3 fins. Anyways, no big deal. Let's move on to Jeff Gorvette. Jeff Gorvette's one of the rare ones of the bunch, but also one of the worst in terms of emulating what Mattel did and trying to surpass it, because without the black outline around the windshield, he just looks a little strange, like everything blends together. Not only that, neither of the knockoff or the very original Jeff Gorvette from Mattel have the Corvette logo on the hood, which is inaccurate. It should, and so Mattel did correct that as they kept on releasing Jeff Gorvette. This is just the original one I wanted to show you guys. The decals on the side look fine. American flag, 24, World Grand Prix, all in all. The rims are slightly different, but nothing too crazy like with Finn. Powered by All in All. So, I mean, you have the Corvette logo on the back. Everything with Jeff is fine, except for the outline around the windshield, I would say. Not the clearest decal or clearest artwork. You have nothing there on the back and nothing on the back. So no card variant here for Jeff. So he kind of falls into the camp with Professor Z, just with maybe like a little name tag difference. But yeah, not a whole lot going on here for Jeff, which is unfortunate because as one of the more fan favorite characters, I think some people would have wanted to see some differences out of him. But moving on, we have Rod Torque Redline, who I'm pretty sure I only have one of. He definitely is the rarest of all of these knockoffs. And yeah, I mean, he's just one of the more popular characters. Now you can see that the wheels are different. Again, a little thinner. They don't have that silver trim. You're missing the G4, or what does that say? Yeah, like G4 drive or something like that. 4-wheel drive on the side. The expression is similar, but again, you don't have this separate piece here. This is a plastic eye plate. The knockoff does not have that. You do have the license plate on the back. Brighter taillights on the actual thing here. Really cool though. Rod Torque Redline, such a great choice for this series. So random, but also very iconic and emblematic of the 2011 Porto Corsa line, because it's pretty much the only time Rod Torque Redline got to shine. And then they sent him to the Shadow Realm and like never released him again. Very sad. But yeah, the actual release of Rod also has a mouth plate there, so keep that in mind. All right, so we have just 2 more to go. We have Nigel Gearsley here, a.k.a. Carlo Veloso. So on a lot of these, they do have name tag Carlo Veloso, which makes sense because that's what the card back shows. But I've never seen a Carlo Veloso one of these. They have always been Nigel Gearsley. So I know what you're thinking. Is there a Carlo Veloso knockoff out there? And while I want to say maybe, I highly doubt it. Now, the other thing that's interesting about this is that the artwork that they use is literally from the Daredevil Garage app. It is the Nigel Gearsley, how he would pull up when you're about to play as that character. And yeah, that is an observation that is extremely important for this story here because it dates this as 2015 and beyond. If these truly were from 2011 prototypes, Porto Corsa, that would not have existed yet. Again, like with the Precision series, which this adds up with Daredevil Garage app, Precision series. It's intertwined, guys. Same timeline. And the Porto Corsa line predates both of those by 4 to 5 years. So an extremely important distinction to make. Now, right off the bat, I can tell you that there is a variant with Nigel Gearsley here, aka Carlo Veloso. So you have these two here that look horrible. This is one of the worst knockoffs they did. You have the text on the back there, and then you have the one without the text on the back that is slightly better because the expression is better. It's a lot more similar to the actual Nigel Gearsley that we got. This just looks disgusting. Oh, and I actually do have this one loose. It's like the only one of these I've ever seen on eBay, and I got it long before I even knew what it was. I just thought it was like some weird factory custom, which it pretty much is. And yeah, as you can see, the spoiler, the wing there is already breaking off because these are not great quality. But yeah, you can see these are horrible. They're missing all the like little green accents, the World Grand Prix decal, the all-in-all decal, the 9 there, not great. I don't know where they get like this crown logo here because that isn't actually on Nigel anywhere that I could see. So I don't know really where that came from, but it's interesting. Structurally, the models are also a little bit different. The factory custom one's a little wider. It's like just a little bit bigger overall. You don't have the Union Jack on the hood. No all-in-all decals up front. It's like, Mom, can we get Nigel Gearsley? No, we have Nigel Gearsley at home. This, I love how the wing came off as I said that because this is the embodiment of that meme. You got weird looking rims. They don't look that bad, but see, this actually looks cool. I mean, this definitely is very Aston Martin-esque without the wing. Looks a little bit more realistic. But yeah, just missing a lot of components here. And then you have, yeah, made in China, Disney Pixar. All right, wing, get back in there. I'm tired of playing with, oh, put it on backwards, why don't you? There we go. Okay, good enough. And yeah, those super stubby side view mirrors don't do it any favors at all. So yeah, this is just way better because it's closer, better decals, way more accurate. Expression's a little closer to what it should be. And instead of calling it Carlo Veloso, they call it Aston Martin, which is pretty close. They also put the all-in-all decal on the side of the wing, which is something Mattel did not do, that they just felt like doing for fun. But they still put Carlo Veloso on the back, which is inaccurate. Now, this is the only one I have of the Nigel Gearsleys that say Aston Martin. All the other ones just say Carlo Veloso and are the worst style from hell. I mean, it's just a cursed looking Nigel Gearsley. So there is that. Those are all the ones of those I have. And now moving on to, last but not least, kind of the black sheep of the bunch, and that is Filmore. So in one way, he is similar to Nigel in the fact that the artwork is of the die-cast, but different from all of them in the sense that he's not on the card back. So it's like they just didn't have room. Of course, Filmore was never released even as a single in the Porto Corsa line as it was with the headset. Let's make a distinction. He was released as a single without the headset, but with the headset, no. Okay, so that's an important thing to note in your mind. All of these were released as short cards. That's another thing to think about, but Filmore was not even without the headset. So it's like they added one in that Mattel didn't already kind of have like a structure for. So you can see this one does not have the text on the back, and it's just a pretty standard looking race team Filmore with the headset. You have your typical 95 logo there. The eyes are a little strange and the wheels are a little simplified if we were to take this out of the package, because I have seen one loose. And again, that Filmore is pretty sure from the Daredevil Garage app. It's just not quite as noticeable as Nigel Gearsley. Now there is a variance of this, as I mean there's been with almost everything, and voila, this is what I was talking about and alluding to earlier. This is the Filmore with that odd 95 like McQueen decals, the World Grand Prix American flag logo, but without the 95 pasted on top of it and the weird bolt that Mater had on one of his variants. So bam, full circle guys there, I wasn't lying. And this seems like a pretty popular variant within the knockoff world because I have quite a few of them. Here are 3 of them. You can also see that the name tag text is a little bit different. It's quite a bit larger than what we're working with here on the top left one. And also you do have all of the legal jargon on the back. How many times have I said legal jargon in this video? Probably too many. Now, for whatever reason, I am kind of obsessed with Filmore. I think I have more. There's no way I only have 4. I know that's crazy to say. I only have 4 Filmores. Maybe I do only have 4 Filmores. But yeah, I guess I do, because I just went through my 2 boxes of all these next gens, all these short cards. And that's what I came up with. But there you guys go. That is a thorough, very extensive walkthrough of what the hell these things are. At the end of the day, clearly knockoffs, but almost every single one of them has a variant. And I've also concluded, despite what I would like deep down, that the variants that might be slightly cooler, like maybe they have these weird decals that are kind of indicative of perhaps being a prototype because of, you know, the stock images that I showed you earlier on in the video. Nonetheless, I have determined they are still knockoffs. They are just slightly better ones. You know, whether it says Aston Martin or Carlo Veloso, it's still a knockoff. Whether Mater has the decals on his side or he doesn't, but his tires are painted, still a knockoff. Whether Holley Shiftwell has a license plate or doesn't have a license plate, still a knockoff. Whether, where are my Francesco Bernoullis? Well, haven't come to find a variant of Jeff Gorvette, Lightning McQueen, or Professor Z. So we need to keep that in mind as well when doing our analysis. But that's not to say that there aren't variants out there, because I don't have a super large sample size of any of those. Of course, we already went over McMissile here as well. But you guys let me know in the comment section below, which one is your favorite? My favorite is probably Holley, followed up by Mater and Filmore, just because the differences between them are pretty substantial. Like seeing Mater with these extra decals on the back is pretty cool. And same thing with Filmore with those alternative number 95 like Team McQueen decals. So I will see you guys next time for another video. Thanks for trudging through this whole video. Hopefully it wasn't a trudge. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I will see you next time for another video. Bye now.